Is there an Enneagram type who makes a bad leader?
Gosh. Gosh, the best way to answer you here is there are different levels within every number. So you could either be a healthy 2, a moderate 2, or an unhealthy 2. If you are operating in your unhealthy level, it's not your best. So an unhealthy leader would be one that has not spent much time in self-awareness. Because there's the truth. Because the good question there is, for example, you do have a lot of leaders that will be the active controller. And when they go down the path of self-development, they actually realize how the way they operate can offend so many people. Instead of having the attitude, I'm the boss, do as I say, not as I do. You know, that's not most motivational or inspiring. And let's face it, motivation and inspiring is where you get the most out of people. So I hope that answers the question. There are different levels.
That makes a lot of sense. But I suppose then the other way of looking at that is what you're saying is any of the numbers at an unhealthy level wouldn't make a good leader.
Correct.
Because they can't lead themselves, never mind anyone else.
They can't lead themselves. Hence the need for awareness, self-improvement, self-development.
So, Pam, the way I got to know you was through being an entrepreneur, and you have a real passion for that. And you've been an entrepreneur since what, 2001? So you certainly have done your time at that.
It goes back even further, actually. Even before that, I would probably say I left corporate in 1995. But now you're giving away my age.
No, that was only 2 years ago. And 3 vaccinations. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think makes a good entrepreneur in your estimation?
I think first and foremost, it is important to establish your values. So, for example, if you have somebody who has a passion for whatever you have a passion for, you can be a painter. Let's say you're a really good artist. That's you're just naturally good at it. But your father or your mother says, no, you must become an accountant because your father was an accountant and your grandfather was an accountant. And so that, I think, and that is certainly changing in the world today. People are, and schools are also helping students to be led as to what are you naturally good at. There's so many different things that are offered today. Pay attention to what you enjoy. Do not minimize what you love, what you're good at. So a good place to start is definitely where does your passion lie? And the Enneagram test can give you lots of answers, lots of insights that can assist you on that journey.
So it's an interesting thing. You seem to equate entrepreneurship with passion, am I right?
Well, it's never all of one thing. You know, it's a mixture of a lot of things. But yes, I find that where the space that I work in, it tends to be people are looking for direction. But no, you can be an entrepreneur as a sideline business, and so therefore you would then know your direction. You know, you've always wanted to, do gardening or whatever it may be. And the sad thing I find is that people sit behind a desk hating their jobs. And they think, well, what do I love to do? I love to work in my garden. And they think, yeah, but I won't be able to make money out of that. That is not a healthy way to think.
Yes.
I never tell anybody what to do, obviously, but
Yes.
it's not a healthy way to think. You can encourage them to say, well, do you think there's a possibility to make a living from it? And then that's where the hard work starts.
So what I really love about what I'm hearing from you is, being an entrepreneur myself, I know that a lot of people take umbrage at how apparently hard I work. From the outside looking in, they go, oh, you work so hard. But for me, I love what I do, so it doesn't feel like work. And I think that's what I'm hearing you saying. And I think maybe entrepreneurs are more likely to step into that space where they say, what do I love doing? What am I good at? What do I have skills at? And how do I take it forward?
Exactly. It's exactly that. You are, because it doesn't feel like work, you're motivated, you're inspired, and therefore you even have more momentum.
Yes.
I mean, look at the other side of the coin. To go and do a 7 or 8 hour corporate job where you have to do a certain amount, how can they possibly get the full potential out of a person when they dislike doing what they're doing, rather than they love doing what they do? And of course they're going to perform at a much better level.
I love that. So I suppose this actually also then bridges into any relationship, because I'm assuming that we use the Enneagram in all kinds of spheres, not just business. And it can help with identifying, for example, redefine the traditional rules of husband, wife, or life partners, or whatever, when we understand what someone's just not good at and what someone's just good at.
Exactly that. It's I mean, I can even say so in my own relationship, where I'm just better at the action, and my husband is he's better at more the empathy. So it was quite interesting, I suppose, with the children growing up. It was like mommy and daddy's roles were reversed. So and when you understand it, the answers it gives you is that there's less conflict.
Yes.
And
everyone is still getting what they need.
And everyone is getting what they need. And don't we all want to live with less conflict?
Yes.
Then you've got time for the more important. Then you've got time for the more important things, instead of arguing over pointless things which are possibly never going to change. Or the other side of that is, this is what you're not sort of good at. Be aware of it and possibly try a little bit harder, as opposed to just being dismissive as to what you're not good at. So that too can also be an enhancer in interpersonal relationships. It's I understand that. This is why you're doing this. Whereas the other person asking you the question, well, why are you doing that? They're so shocked. They're so shocked because you don't like enjoying it. Therefore, they must not like it. You don't get anywhere.
Yes.
Same thing in a team. Same thing in a team. When the person is, these are the reports I need. These are the stats that I need. This is what I need from you. And everybody gets what they need from everybody. It all arrives on time. And then the work starts to flow. And there's more harmony.
So, Pam, what I'm hearing here is that the Enneagram is more than just a personality assessment, and that the focus is really on self-development.
It is self-development and reaching your full potential.
But there's a lot of work out there on the Enneagram. And when you do your assessments, normally you get a report. Why would I need a coach? Can't I just take the assessment that I have and just go and Google stuff and get to an self-awareness through that?
Good question. I like that question. Yes, indeed, you can read a book. There's a lot of good books written on the Enneagram. When you ask yourself the question, you go back to the original question, why do you need a coach in the first place? So you would have a coach in the first place that would help to get to the meaning of what is behind the various structures within the Enneagram. And to add to that, when you work with a expert coach or a Enneagram practitioner, you would also have the accountability that would assist you from one session to the next, which also assists you on your journey. Now that you don't get from a book. I'm not knocking the book at all. The book gives you the knowledge. Of course it does. Best scenario is to even read the book and then decide you want the value of a coach that could explain the insights. Because let me draw your attention to, the coach has a perspective of all 9. You as a person, you kind of you say, well, this is what I do. This is what I do. You're not aware of the other 8 types, or should I say 27 subtypes, which also goes into even more detail. But it provides a lot of answers, Innocent. It provides a lot of answers and a lot of direction. And when people get the direction, they get excited. They gain momentum to go on their journey. Whereas reading a book, you would say to a person, oh, I read this book, it's a good book, thanks very much. And then, where's the accountability?
I hear you. So you're saying the coach brings the depth of understanding the Enneagram approach, plus some accountability that you're not going to get from a book. And it does sound like there's a lot more to the Enneagram than just the little symbol that we see with a 9. And I think people misinterpret that.
Yes.
But what I wanted to ask you as well, sorry, just a final question. I know we need to wrap up. Just a final question. How long will I work with a coach on the Enneagram before I start seeing return on investment? Because it sounds like an incredibly useful but very complicated tool. Am I going to need a degree to get through this?
No, not a degree, but I have to say it's very interesting. The insights do take, it's wonderful to experience the reflection. How long would it be? Look, it would be a great tool to help you find your way. In other words, where am I going to battle? When I'm starting out on my entrepreneurial journey or my business, where am I going to battle? Oh, I'm a 7. I'm a visionary. I'm fascinated by ideas. Being the admin person and getting all the invoices and the details and the costing, that is where I'm going to be tripped up. And so, therefore, it's, send that out to a virtual assistant. These are all things that if you know these up front, before you make the mistakes, you would see the value in doing. Yeah. Yeah. And that's certainly been my experience. And one lady I was coaching, I was amazed when she said, oh, you know what? People just kept telling me I was difficult. She wasn't difficult. She just didn't like socializing. She was the quiet specialist. Please don't invite me. And then she didn't want to keep turning her friends down. So she'd go occasionally, really not enjoy it. So I really wish they'd left me at home alone. So can you hear where people like to make, they like to make assumptions of where they're at. And so therefore you must be at the same place as me.
So it's so interesting because I know that you've still got a book that you've loaned from me that I think is still on your shelf. And that talks about the love languages, but specifically the languages of appreciation in business. Yes. So what I hear you saying is that understanding people, rewarding and recognizing them, we can understand some of those love languages when we understand the why.
Exactly. Exactly that.
Wonderful.
And sometimes you can also pick up a person, for example, the strict perfectionist. They don't use words like approximately or estimated or about or plus minus or anywhere around there. They don't. They will be absolutely specific, and so it also helps. So it's been a tremendous place to start on your journey, is to discover about your own personality, and actually through the discussion we've had, we can see it's more than a personality test. It really is it's like your own DNA.
Yes. And so, Pam, what was the most prominent figure? So I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. When you were coaching me, what was the most prominent characteristic of the 7 that I showed that was the most challenging to you?
That's a big question. I suppose it was there again, as we said a bit earlier, on the 7s can get a little bit tripped up in the detail. Where I think you were battling is the sales side. It was that activity that you didn't enjoy. So what did you do? You avoided it. What did I keep doing? I kept bringing you back to it because and that even showed on your DeMartini determination process. Everything, because you were such a good student. Every single box was filled in and ticked and all the rest. And when it came round to that it was blank. There was one blank thing on your sheet, and it was relating to that. So you see, you were avoiding it at all costs. So you were working very hard in other areas. But that was an area where you either needed to hook up with another person, which you have successfully done, and the sales is happening in a better way. So can you see how valuable those 2 tests were, even for yourself?
Indeed. And that's exactly why I asked the question, is because there isn't a right or a wrong. We're good at some things and we aren't. And I think that's a good case study of just one minor thing. But it is so huge to get that move. But Pam, I thank you so much. I think I've taken so much of your time today, but it was so interesting to chat to you.
Thank you for having me with amongst your coffee companions.
Oh, dear pleasure. Thanks so much. So everyone, another fabulous coffee companion. We really are spoiled for all the information and understanding that our coffee companions bring to us. I certainly had a great time in the past year with Pam and her coaching. And really, the Enneagram is such an interesting tool. What Pam said is entirely true. There's so much depth that you can keep working. And I think you never run out of things to discuss. But I hope that was enough feed for your soul for the next week or so until we have our next coffee companion. I'll see you on Wednesday.